Texas finds a way to escape with a 31-24 victory over Houston on Saturday. This is the Horns 24/7 post-game analysis show. Thanks for being here with us. Eric Henry really put this game best. The players post-game, their sentiment was, championship teams find a way to win. We found a way to win today. Not sure if we would have been able to win this game 3 years ago, and that's very true. But at the same time, what also is true is that this game shouldn't have been close from the start. That Houston should never have had a chance in this game against Texas. Texas goes out to a 21-0 lead early, and then really, I think the momentum shifted after Steve Sarkisian elects to go for a fake field goal and not take the points on a drive to go up 24-0. And then Houston comes back after that, 24-7 at that point in the game. And then Houston comes back, scores a touchdown to make it 21-14 going into the half. So, Steve Sarkisian said in the post-game press conference that he wants that call back, but really just a lot of questionable decisions and a lot of questions that need to be answered about this Texas team going into next week when BYU comes into town. Let's go back to Saturday night and take apart some of the takeaways on my end. Number one, Donovan Smith had the Texas defense's number again on Saturday night. Last year at Texas Tech, with Smith at the quarterback position, he led the Red Raiders to an overtime victory over the Longhorns. He goes 38 of 56 for 331 yards and 2 touchdowns. Now on Saturday night, Smith goes 32 of 46 for 378 yards, 3 touchdowns, and an interception. The Texas linebackers and the defense in general was spying Donovan Smith to try and take away his running ability. But the catch with that is a lot was really open over the middle. And Donovan Smith picked apart the Texas secondary in all 3 areas of the game. In the short, intermediate, and deep passing games, Donovan Smith threw for over 100 yards in all 3 of those areas. The Texas secondary, just simply put, has really struggled the past 2 games. They gave up 11 big plays through the air. Those are plays of 15 or more yards in the passing game. On third down, Smith was 7 of 11 for 105 yards. That's an area where the Longhorns really needed to pick that up. Jahdae Barron was in case of emergency coming into this game, and they had to break the glass on him in the second half. And Texas honestly might not have been able to win the game in the fourth quarter had he not been in. He had that pass breakup on 4th and short that ultimately won the game for the Longhorns and gave them the ability to kneel the clock out. Injuries are certainly a part of the secondary struggles. Ryan Watts did not play. Jalen Catalon did not play, but you can't really use that as an excuse. This unit overall just needs to play better. That's the bottom line. Second takeaway for me, Quinn Ewers played well, really, when he was in the game, but obviously his injury leaves questions in the air. Before he exited the game, he went 23 of 29 for 211 yards and 2 touchdowns. He left the game with a shoulder injury. University of Texas announced today that they are not going to reveal anything about injuries until Steve Sarkisian's Monday 11 a.m. press conference. So we'll find out more about Quinn Ewers and some of the other Longhorns then. Third down struggles continued for Texas. 3 of 12 on those, and that's another big part of this. It really feels like this offense should have exploded had Steve Sarkisian not made that fake field goal call to get it into his hands of Bert Auburn. If you're going to get it into your kicker's hands, I think you really just might as well go for it. You have a higher chance on 4th down to get it into your skill player's hands as opposed to Bert Auburn's. But again, Steve Sarkisian regretted that call and wanted it back, as he said in the postgame press conference. But nonetheless, with Quinn Ewers questionable going forward, where does the offense stand now if he's unable to play? Malik Murphy's probably going to be your starting quarterback, but how much is Steve Sarkisian going to let him go with minimal experience in game situations? This seems like it's going to be a very easy game plan for him. Try to get him warmed up into everything, some screen passes, some short crossing routes, trying to get him warmed up into the passing game, but really rely a lot on the run. And thankfully for Texas, this run game has been a pleasant surprise for them with Jonathan Brooks, Cedric Baxter, and after Saturday, Savion Red in 4th and short or 3rd and short situations being able to come in and get you the extra few yards that you need. The offense really likes to throw screen passes anyway, so I think that sets up nicely for Malik Murphy if he's able, if he has to come in and start the game at quarterback for Texas. It lets him warm up into some throws, and we saw on one of his 2 pass attempts, his only incompletion, it was a 3rd and medium to Adonai Mitchell, just zip the ball, but it was a little bit behind him. He has some power on that arm, and that could really come to Texas's advantage if they use it correctly. But first, obviously, he's going to need to get settled into the game. Now we'll touch on some positives on a night where Texas fans and the Texas team in general is going to walk away with a lot of negatives. Positive-wise, Texas was 4 of 4 in the red zone, 3 touchdowns and a field goal. So that's a big improvement from what we've seen in weeks past. They've really struggled in the red zone this season. They did not on Saturday. Ryan Sanborn continues to have a phenomenal year, and Steve Sarkisian made sure to make a point about praising him in the postgame press conference. He averaged 52.3 yards per punt on Saturday with 3 of them. His longest went 59 yards and went inside the 20-yard line for Houston to set up Texas pretty well defensively. The Texas defense was great against the run, as they have been all season. They gave up 14 yards on 19 carries. That's good for just 0.7 yards per carry. It really just was the passing game that ended up being the downfall of the Texas offense in the win. And then the defense also created 2 turnovers. They picked off Donovan Smith in the end zone, Michael Taft getting his first career interception, and then a fumble recovery as well, something that Steve Sarkisian said he really wanted to see this week after they struggled to create turnovers in weeks past. They're able to get 2 on Saturday. So, all in all, a win for the Longhorns, but somewhat underwhelming considering they also came out of a bye week. Steve Sarkisian said his team was a little bit pissed off and upset after the loss to Oklahoma, but it really didn't seem like it. They came out very shallow and could definitely use a lot of improvement. So looking ahead to BYU, the Cougars are 5-2 overall in 2-2 in Big 12 play. They beat Texas Tech 27-14 on Saturday after losing 44-11 to TCU the week prior. By the way, TCU got blown out by Kansas State as well. So all kinds of pandemonium going on in the Big 12 conference right now. The BYU defense forced 5 turnovers on Saturday. They picked off true freshman Jake Strong, who's starting for the Red Raiders now that Barron Morton and Tyler Shuck are injured, 3 times. And they also recovered 2 fumbles. Keaton Slovis, their transfer quarterback, went 15 of 27 through the air for 127 yards and 2 touchdowns. The good news for Texas coming into this game is that Slovis is not a dual threat quarterback, does not use his leg as often, and when he does, he's not great with them. So this could be a game for the Texas secondary to bounce back a little bit on Saturday in Austin. And now we'll close out, as always, with questions that remain about this team. Number one, obviously the biggest one, what is the extent of Quinn Ewers' injury, and what does the offense look like with or without him? Number 2, can the secondary play tighter coverage and not allow big chunk plays to happen more often than not? Like I mentioned earlier, they gave up 11 gains of 15 plus through the air against Houston. That obviously can't happen if the Longhorns want to make a Big 12 title push, and they're going to play better teams here along the back half of the schedule. Does Saturday's game change how Steve Sarkisian is going to handle certain situations going forward? More notably, going for the fake field goal obviously is what sticks out in everybody's mind. Will there be more situations like that, or does he maybe show a trend of taking the points from now on after Saturday? And last but certainly not least, can the Longhorns find a way, any game the rest of the season, to play a strong, dominant brand of football from start to finish and leave no doubt, no questions across the board? Can they do it? We'll have to find out, and the questions could be answered this coming Saturday as BYU comes into Austin. Steve Sarkisian getting a little bit of a homecoming game. He spent his playing days playing for the Cougars, so looking forward to that one on Saturday. Thanks so much for being here with us on the Horns 24/7 post-game analysis show. As always, be sure to like this video, subscribe to the channel, and turn on post notifications so you are the first to know when new content heads your way. For the rest of the crew at Horns 24/7, I'm Tommy Yarsh. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you next time.